Welcome to John S.'s Sports Channel, where we are into the last 10 games now of League One, and there's some real humdingers this weekend at the top and in the relegation fight. Let's see as we delve into League One Week 37 predictions. Remember, just a little bit of fun. I do look around for what you're all thinking score-wise, and I do try and take into account the news from the week, which has been plenty of, isn't there? We're going to Bolton versus Stockport first. Bolton they played Bristol Rovers last time out away and lost 3-2, but what a game. If you look straight into it, Bolton had the more play in that game. However, 12 shots to Bristol Rovers, 5 on target, 3 in the net. What great figures, or what? But then Bolton did exactly the same. 9 shots, 3 on target, 2 in the net. A great game. This was one for the connoisseur. This was a game for the neutral. Absolutely, totally enjoyed it. Did the right team win? On the whole, probably. But I think it could have been a draw, and I think a draw would have probably been a fair score there. They both played out their skin. I enjoyed both teams. I don't think the defence of either team can be really pulled down for any of those 5 goals. They were just great goals. So, Stockport County played Charlton. 1 shot on target for each side in the entire game. This was probably one of the most boring games of that set of games. Really was not one for the connoisseur. Completely the opposite from the Bolton game, and this is why I think it's going to really play on this game, because you've got Bolton win, draw, win, lose. Although they played really well, and they'll be thinking, "Why on earth did we come out with 0 points?" Against Stockport County. Draw, win, lose, win, draw. They just seem to be... They're doing quite well in defence. I mean, if you look at the game, the last 6 games and how many goals they let in. 1, 0, 2, 1, 1, 0. They are letting them in, but they do get clean sheets. And I do see them being able to be beaten at the back, but they can suddenly give you a clean sheet out of nowhere and end up with a 0-0. And that's probably my other score here is 0-0, because if Stockport really do batten down that back end, they are quite capable of completely stopping any goals coming in. To me, they've started just to slip off, but everybody around them's slipping as well. So actually, they're not doing too badly in the league, because the rest of the teams around them are probably doing about the same. Stockport in 5th, Bolton in 6th, and you can see this is going to be quite an interesting game to predict. So what are you all saying? 1-1, 1-0, 2-1, 2-0. I can see this being a Bolton win, certainly. And I think that that last game says to me Bolton will be at this constantly during the game. I can see the style and class of play being the same as the Bristol Rovers game. For them, it's going to be 100% attack, and I think that they will be doing really well. And I think that Birmingham game sort of tells me that they can get the right style and the right tactics to beat this Stockport side that can be a little bit dull, a little bit boring, just like they were at Charlton. Against Charlton, I do think that they were quite boring there. Sorry, fans, but 1 shot on target says it all. I'm going to go with the majority of you, actually, and I'm going to go with Bolton 2, Stockport 1. I think that Bolton's defence can let them in. It's 3-2 against Bristol Rovers, but that was a really strong Bristol Rovers side. But I still think that they may just get one in there. So I'm going to go with 2-1. So let's move on to Cambridge versus Peterborough. Cambridge, yeah, they were just not quite as clinical as Blackpool. The game, as far as possession and shots, were they're not too dissimilar between the pair. Blackpool slightly ahead on that, but Blackpool was slightly more clinical than Cambridge, and won it 2-1. Peterborough won, Wycombe won, and Peterborough was certainly holding their own. However, Wycombe had the better possession and the better number of shots. I mean, if you look at the stats, 49% possession to Wycombe, but what I mean by this, they had 13 shots at target, only 2 on target, but 13 shots at target is really good. The conversion rate to on target is not very good at all. When Wycombe had the ball, they just looked a lot better and a lot more at home and a lot more at ease. When Peterborough had the ball, they just looked like they were going to lose it. So although they had the ball 51% of the time, they didn't really, to me, look happy with the ball. They seemed to be just a little bit tentative with the passing and just didn't quite. They always looked to be afraid of Wycombe, because Wycombe obviously right at the top in the promotion zone, and you're thinking, ooh, this is going to be a tough game. And I think that was what I saw from this game, a Peterborough side that were just looking up the table at Wycombe and thinking, this is going to be tough. We need to hang on. We need to hang on. After that 16th minute penalty, it was, we just want to hang on and make sure we don't do anything stupid. 90 plus 3 is when Wycombe scored, and they nearly won it straight after. So it was a really good game. However, just not quite the conversion stats that we would have hoped for from Peterborough there, and that's where I come in, because Cambridge actually did rather well. I think that 2-1 defeat at Blackpool, if you actually look at how Cambridge played, they did quite well. 4 shots, 1 in the net. 4 shots on target, 1 in the net. 14 shots in total. They can let shots off, and they have a reasonable conversion rate to shots against shots on target. So I can see Cambridge being quite good here, and I think that they could just turn this run around, because what we've got for Cambridge: lose, win, win, lose, 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 and a Peterborough side of draw, win, draw, win, draw, draw. Can we see a Peterborough renaissance here? We've got Peterborough in 20th, Cambridge in 23rd, 10 points apart from each other. Peterborough, of course, now above Burton, and they're 6 points above Burton. They really can't afford to lose many games here. If they could win this, they're almost certainly gonna put the bottom 4 down, because one of them would have to have a decent run of winning games to catch them up, wouldn't they? If they're 3 wins away from the Burton below them. So it's going to be an interesting game, and I can see Cambridge being able to play a better line of football here, but we do go with what people are saying. What are we saying? Cambridge Peterborough 1-2, 1-3, 1-1, and then 1-0. So we've got people on both sides and on the fence here. So I'm going to go with what I think. I think that Peterborough are going to be coming here and playing a similar style of football. They'll be thinking, hey, we did really well against Wycombe. Why shouldn't we be able to wipe the floor with Cambridge? But realistically, they just shut up shop and tried not to, and tried to stay with that 1-0 lead, and it nearly worked. But the number of shots on target and that conversion rate just wasn't, to me, screaming at me that they're going to score. On the other hand, I can see Cambridge starting to put an ability there to get shots off, and against a Blackpool side, they lost, but they did really well shooting wise. really am trying to talk myself into giving a score here. I could see it going either way. I think it's going to be 1-0. And the thing is, I could see it being either way. I really can. I'm going to go with Cambridge 1, Peterborough 0, but this could be both ways, couldn't it? Really can. Blackpool Orient next then, and we'll see what we think to Blackpool Orient. So, Blackpool in 11th versus Leyton Orient in 9th. And Leyton Orient, just sort of dropping back down, haven't they? And that raise that we got earlier in the season from Blackpool, slightly nipping up that table above the halfway point, and then just seeming to stall there, didn't they? Blackpool, as we said last time out, winners 2-1 to Cambridge at home. They did have the better play there, and like I said, if we look at the stats, Blackpool did reasonably well. 12 shots at target, 7 on target, 2 in the net. Blackpool were just that little bit more clinical than Cambridge, and they'll be really pleased with their ratios, won't they? And that is where they needed to be as a base, and then trying to sort of push on from there. I can see that this side can do really well over the next 10 games. Will they be able to push on and replicate this next year? Yeah, I can see they can, absolutely. Leyton Orient, though, Northampton defeat last time out, and that second goal they gave away was absolutely dreadful. 2 mistakes and by defence, and you're thinking, the way in which Northampton nipped in and just put it away was absolutely great. He saw where the ball was going, and he just managed to pounce on it and get it perfectly shot into the net. The goal that Leyton Orient got back was good. I just see that when you look at the stats and you're thinking about how did Leyton Orient do against a side they thought they would beat easily and lose against. 60% possession, 8 shots, 2 on target, 1 in the net. 2 on target, 1 in the net's great, but 8 shots from 60% possession is very, very poor. And you only have to look at Northampton's 40%, 17 shots at target, 6 on target, and they only had 244 passes against 368 for Leyton Orient. So Leyton Orient were passing it, but just not doing anything, not doing as much with it as Northampton. I don't think the pitch particularly helped, but that's another story. This is going to be an interesting game because I can see Blackpool just have the home advantage here. They have the impetus going. They are starting to get a side together that's playing in a way that you can see them doing well in the last 10 and possibly taking this on into next season. Whereas Leyton Orient, they've lost the way. Blackpool draw, win, lose, draw, win, win. The defeat was against Stockport County in the top, so that was always going to be a tough game. 2-1. Leyton Orient win, lose, 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 lose. They're not doing well. Tends to go in 5 or 6 game runs, so they may be about to come out of this losing run. Will it happen against Blackpool? What do you think? 2-1 to Blackpool, 2-0, 2-1, 2-1. I'm going to go with most of you, and I'm going to go with Blackpool 2, Leyton Orient 1. I definitely agree with you. I think Blackpool will win this one. I think Leyton Orient will score, but because they've been really good, and I think this is about the time when they'll turn it around. But that Blackpool side at home is really good, and that defence at home can be extremely good. So Blackpool's defence, will it continue to be really, on the whole, really good? I'm just keeping an eye on the Mansfield 3-3 down at the bottom. I think it will. And we'll move on to the next game, which is Charlton versus Wigan. So, Charlton-Wigan. Charlton last time out winning 1-0 to Crawley. And, if you look at that game, it wasn't as an easy run as we thought it would be. Crawley had 1 shot on target. Charlton had 5. Now, funnily enough, Crawley actually had 53% possession. However, Charlton really, for me, had more confident on the ball. They just passed a little bit more confidently, and I enjoyed Charlton's football. I thought it was starting to get that little bit of an edge of quality and technical brilliance that they had at the beginning of the season, and I enjoyed it. Crawley just seemed to be doing 1 or 2 silly passes and silly mistakes, and you think, if they could just stop those, they'd be okay. However, they're playing a Wigan side that won 1-0 at Cambridge, and again Cambridge they did the same as in the next game, where that we just discussed. They had lots of shots, but they just didn't. They weren't technical enough. They were just like shot at goal somewhere, and I don't think the keeper was really tested in that in the Wigan Cambridge game. The Wigan keeper really not having too much to do, and Wigan themselves, well, they did reasonably well with the stats, and if I looked at the game, 5 shots on target for Wigan, 4 for Cambridge. Now you have to think that 7 shots in total, 5 on target, 1 in the net. Actually, Wigan, you did really well, and I think with the management changes, let's see if it'll make a difference. Now, can we have a new manager bounce? And I'm thinking that here we're talking Charlton, Wigan. And I think Wigan just could to do something here. Is it too quick for a manager? Absolutely, isn't it? Absolutely. You're not going to get one that quick, are we? However, stranger things have happened. Who they played? Charlton, but Charlton have been really, really technical. Let's have a look at the history of the last 6 games. Charlton lose, win, draw, win. Their defeat was 1-0 away to Birmingham, so we can almost forget that one. Wigan, draw, win, lose, draw, win. They seem to be all over the place, but they are, I think, getting to a point now where they need to turn things around and try and push on for an upper mid-third position. I think that they, like Rotherham, are on the beach. Would I have changed manager anyway when you're on the beach? As good as? Probably not. I would have probably waited till nearer the summer and thought, okay, let's go a complete clean sheet at summer and do what Rotherham did and get the Evans in 2 games before the end, just to give him a couple of 1 or 2 league games, and then let him have the summer to rebuild. Charlton, Wigan, what are you saying? 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 2-0. I can see Wigan getting a goal here, and I am going to go with what you're saying. I'm going to go with Charlton 2, Wigan 1. I think that it's just come a little bit too late in the week to be really expecting a new manager bounce. And we'll go on to Huddersfield versus Crawley next. Now I had a Huddersfield fan on and commenting on one of the recent management changes at Huddersfield, and he said, "Look, the home form's been absolutely abysmal. No goals at home since January this year," and you're thinking, okay, I didn't realise that at all. I know that they've been playing pretty poorly and not winning enough to get where I thought they'd be, which is second position. Last 6, win against Shrewsbury, lose, win against Stevenage, lose, and one of those, of course, is a loss against Wrexham, but it's only 1-0. But it was at home, like the guy said, and you're thinking, can they score more? I mean, it's 1-0, 1-0, 2-1, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-0. There's not a lot of goals either way. The defence isn't doing particularly badly. It's just that the front end isn't doing very, very well at all, is it? Crawley, last time out against Charlton, they lost 1-0, and their last 6: draw, lose, 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 draw, lose. Charlton are playing really, really clinical, and Crawley, for me, just didn't have that that fire. There were signs that they can play well in that Charlton game, absolutely, but they need to just calm down and start controlling that ball a little bit better and be more confident on the ball. I just didn't see that confidence on the ball from Crawley. Can it change? Yes. Will it change against the Huddersfield side that are not playing very well at home? If you can win anywhere, Crawley, it would be Huddersfield. Huddersfield is 7th. They really do have to win now to be able to get any chance of getting into that the 4th, 5th position, which would be nice and stable and get towards the end of the season without fighting for that 6th slot. Crawley in 22nd though, and they really do need to keep. They're 9 points away from safety. They have to start winning now, with 10 games to go. Otherwise, I'm afraid, if you take my rule of 1 point per game that you can catch up, they're starting to get an impossible task. I say Huddersfield, played reasonably well against Bristol Rovers, but Bristol Rovers turned up and played I thought, a really good game of football. Just have another quick scan at the stats for that one. Bristol Rovers 33%, 11 shots though from that, so they played really well when they had the ball. 4 on target, 1 in the net, and they came away winners. Huddersfield 12 shots, 3 on target, none in the net, 67% possession. You'd expect more than 12 shots, and this is where the guy from Huddersfield who commented, "Thank you very much." You're right. They need to be doing. If you've got 67% of the ball, you need to be shooting a lot more than 12 times on goal. And 3 shots on target out of 12. Well, if you want to be in that top 6, 1 in 4 is okay, but it's not enough to be in the top 6. So I think we've got a team here, Huddersfield, who are still playing a sort of top 6 football. They still can and do have a really good defence, but that front line is just not doing it for me, as per again the commenter from Huddersfield. It's going to be a difficult one for me. I'm looking at this and thinking it's either going to be a Huddersfield whitewash, or Crawley will be able to do something similar than they did against Charlton, and just reduce the number of attacks and just be able to play a little bit better, perhaps a little bit more confidently. I can't see it happening. What can you see with this game? Huddersfield Crawley 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, 3-1. I'm going to go with the majority. I'm going to go with it that Crawley won't be able to do this, and that Huddersfield will find that scoring power. I don't know where from. I'm going to go against what I'm being told by the Huddersfield fans. Huddersfield 3, Crawley 1, and we'll move on. I really do think that if they can score here. So let's have a look at Lincoln versus Bristol Rovers. Lincoln played Birmingham 1-0 defeat away to Birmingham, which is not bad, but they had 0 shots on target, Lincoln City, and Birmingham actually had 74% possession. Lincoln 27% possession, 6 shots, none on target, no goals. They were always seeming like, I think they just parked the bus in the back and hoped that they wouldn't score. That 71-minute penalty. No, please, you body checked him in the middle on purpose. I didn't think there was any reason for for it not to be a penalty. However, I do question the way the Birmingham player went down holding his head. He'd got body checked on his shoulder. For heaven's sake, stop being such a wimp. But it was a penalty, absolutely. Do players in all football leagues do the same thing? Yes, they do. It still annoys me, whether it's Birmingham or Liverpool, body checking and then being body checked and then falling on the floor, rolling around. To me, is just. He curled up into a ball on the floor, and you're thinking he's rolling around curled up. Why? He body checked you on your shoulder. For God's sake, stop being such a wimp. But Birmingham did deserve to win, and Lincoln City came away a little bit battered and bruised. I think for that they could have done so much better. I think had they took the game to Birmingham, because they didn't do too badly considering they only had 26% possession. They really didn't. They just didn't pose any threat at all to the Birmingham side, who were really, really good down both wings, absolutely. Mainly down the right wing, I saw. They were really good down the right wing, quite good down the left. But yeah, they played a really good style football yet again. Bristol Rovers, they won last time out 3-2 against Bolton. This was a humdinger of a game. I mentioned it earlier. Brilliant game, loved it. Bristol Rovers should be proud of that win. They really did take it to a really strong Bolton side, and although it was at home, and now they're away to Lincoln. I think Lincoln need to be on the guard here. Lincoln City lose, win, lose, win, lose. And Bristol Rovers lose. And they seem to have just started to turn it around. Draw, win. And the wins have been against Huddersfield and Bolton. Okay, Huddersfield are not doing too good. However, Bolton are. So, it is a case of who are they playing. Absolutely. Before you say they lost to Rotherham 3-2. Both were absolutely dreadful, and they lost against Wycombe 2-0. And again, it's who you're playing, obviously, as well as how you're playing. So I do take that on board. So, what are you all saying? You're saying 1-1, 1-0 to Lincoln, 2-2, 2-1 to Lincoln. This is interesting, and I actually. Let's have a look at the table. Let's just have a quick look at the table. You've got Lincoln City in 13th. You've got Bristol Rovers in 17th. And I just can't... After those last couple of games, I just think Bristol Rovers have been showing a really good side of this. They seem to have done well with... at this point of the season, teams are getting injuries, they're getting fatigue... And you can see it in some of those sides. You can see they go through for like 60, 70 minutes and then all of a sudden they're looking really tired. We're at that sort of stage of the season. You've got suspensions, yellow cards mounting up. Everybody's thinking about, we're near the end of the season. How well can we do with what we've got? I actually don't agree with any of you. I'm not going to go with any of you. I'm sorry. I think it's going to be Lincoln City 1, Bristol Rovers 2. And I'm going to go completely against you guys and play my joker. So let's go on to the next game. And the next game is Mansfield versus Barnsley. Now, obviously, when teams get rid of managers and get new managers, we often see a resurgence of a team. And Mansfield fans, especially Roy, is thinking, why is it him? Why is it always Mansfield that seem to play the team that's just either got rid of their manager or got a new one? And once again, they're at home against Barnsley, who, we've got a managerial change there. So let's just go back and we'll have a look at the league positions first, because I think this is important. Barnsley have dropped now to 10th place, 52 points. They're 8 points behind Bolton in 6th. If they stand any chance of catching them up, they really do need to start getting some points in the bag. And now, against a Mansfield side who are in 18th, and they've dropped. They started dropping way before Barnsley started dropping, and they just that missing Lee Gregory for the rest of the season has certainly hit them. We thought they may have found that new guy that scored the other day, 2 games ago. We thought, perhaps he'll be able to sort of give them a resurgence in the front line, but didn't happen last time out. I'm a little bit worried for Mansfield, to be quite honest. Like I say, Mansfield Town against Stevenage 1-1, and they had Jordan Rhodes score there. So they have got strikers there. Can they actually do anything though? I don't know. Mansfield lose, draw, lose. They seem to just be pulling a few points out. Three draws out of the last 4 games. And then Exeter just didn't really turn up. Great, pretty football, but not doing enough within the game. And if you look at the stats, Exeter City only had 35% play. Mansfield, great, pretty football, 65% play. But, they had 5 shots in total and 0 of them on target. So, Mansfield fans are just looking, where's the shots on target going to come from? Where are shots going to come from? With 35% play, Exeter had 10 shots, 6 on target, 2 in the net. So, Mansfield are in a dark place. Barnsley, though, have been in a dark place for a while. They seem to have just shown signs of getting out of it. Lose, win, lose. Those 3 wins, 1-0 against Rotherham, but both sides played pretty poorly. Northampton win 2-1. Good game there. And Lincoln City 4-3. They were 4-1 up at one point. I was on the live stream that we did, the watch along, and I actually said 3-3 because I didn't realise they'd scored 4. 4-1 up, and this is going to end in a draw. 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, and hell, they nearly did equalise with the last kick of the game. In fact, I think it was ruled offside, wasn't it? And it would have been 4-4. So it's a side that can just collapse in the latter half of the game, as some of my subscribers from Barnsley have said. This is going to be a really interesting game, isn't it? I can't see where this is going to go. Mansfield Barnsley 0-1, 2-3, 1-2, 1-1. I am going to agree with one of you. I'm going to sit on the fence here. I really can't see which way this is going to go, guys. It could be a 0-0. I'm going to go Mansfield 1, Barnsley 1, and we'll quickly move on to the next game. So, Northampton, Birmingham, and Birmingham fans, here we are. You can now sit back and listen to my rant about Northampton and Birmingham. So, obviously, we're talking aside Northampton, who are down there in 19th, but you've got to remember they were really fighting for their lives against that drop, and 41 points now, just 8 points ahead of the relegation zone. One more win, I think, and they can really sit back and think, yeah, we've done it. We're as good. We'll definitely get the odd point or two to be able to numerically stay up. So yeah, 1 or 2 wins. This one would certainly be really good, wouldn't it? However, it's a Birmingham side they're playing, and their last game, Leyton Orient, they did win. Now, it was a good game. Northampton away at Leyton Orient, 2-1. Second goal was just gifted them, wasn't it? 2 really poor defensive taps, missing the ball twice, and the Northampton guy just tapped it in the net. Did they deserve a win? Yeah, Leyton Orient did really well, but they just didn't have that shine that they have had it during the season. Leyton Orient, yeah, playing a decent style of football. 60% possession. Northampton, though, we were talking about Northampton, 40%, 17 shots, 6 on target, 2 in the net. that was really good for 40%. And you look at that and you think, why are they down there? Yeah, if they played football like that, that's sort of because Leyton Orient were they're not an easy team to beat at home either. So they really did play well, and the number of shots were great, and the football actually was a decent football to watch as a neutral. I enjoyed it absolutely. But they're playing a Birmingham side that are clinically really, really good. And I can't see but Northampton doing anything other than what most teams do, which is try and get that early goal and then park the bus. I said this against with Bolton, and no, I did. I apologise. They didn't quite park the bus. They sort of played from the back, which is sort of like parking the bus and playing from the back. But they played it a different way and it worked. Will Northampton copy that? Well, they probably could, because looking at those stats of the last, certainly the last 2 or 3 games, you'd think, yeah, they are starting to get this ability to do that, and I think they could. Northampton could nick a draw here, and if they do, I think it would be something like a 1-1. So do look for a 1-1 draw. However, I think Birmingham are far too strong. The last time they lost again was the Bolton game away. Northampton lose, win, lose, draw, win. They've only lost 1 out of their last 5 games. They are doing really well. Birmingham draw, win, lose, win. They do now have Stansfield, don't they? I do believe. Wasn't he in? Let's have a look at the Birmingham side. Yeah, Stansfield was on the pitch. From the start, he was withdrawn on 69 minutes, and I think it was brought on the game before from the bench. So I do believe that Birmingham now have started to turn a corner with injuries, and I think with their depth of squad, certainly they should have little or no issues now with going forward for the last 10 games. It would be a shame, really, because they have been playing really, really good, for them to suddenly start getting injuries again. And I don't like that for any side, even if you're Birmingham or even if you're Burton. I can see this being a Birmingham win. What are you all saying? You're saying it's Northampton, Birmingham, 0-2, 0-3, 1-2 and 0-2. I can actually see Northampton getting the first goal here and getting in the lead. But I think that we'll see this Birmingham side pull back and win this one. How much by? I think it's going to be Northampton 1, Birmingham 2. And we move to the next game. So, Reading versus what we got? Reading versus Stevenage. And we look at the last game. Reading 2, Wrexham 0. Stickland sent off for a wasting time. 2-0 up. 75 minutes in. Yeah, you can imagine they're thinking this Wrexham side can and do pull things back very easily sometimes. It was quite an even game. 12 shots in total to Reading, 15 to Wrexham. Although the replays don't show us all of the Wrexham shots, so I'd love to know what you thought of those shots. Were they from far out? Were they distance shots? I'd love to know, because none of the replays I've seen have shown the fact that Wrexham had so many shots. They all show Reading doing really, really well. Some of those shots and some of those lobs over the Wrexham defence worked extremely well for Reading, and they seem to just have the better of the Wrexham defence. I would say an awful lot more than what Wrexham did against the Reading defence. Was it a warranted 2-0 win? Absolutely. Seeing the game and looking at the stats, I can see this being probably a realistic result, and probably the right one. So we're looking at a Reading side that can certainly put up some good performances. Lewis Wing there with a goal, brilliant player on his day. Stevenage, though, well, they have been playing some good football and starting to get better and better as the last few weeks have gone on, I think. Unfortunately, they played Birmingham last time out and lost 2-1. But they didn't do too badly, to be quite honest. Stevenage, they're getting a goal back in 90 plus 4 minutes. And, could they get an equaliser? Well, I don't think it was very much likely. However, in that game, Birmingham had 2 shots on target. Stevenage had 4. Birmingham, as usual, 2 shots on target, 2 in the net. Stevenage, 4 shots on target, 1 in the net. And that was the difference in that game. 28% possession to Stevenage, 11 shots. Birmingham had 73% possession, 10 shots. You can imagine that Stevenage would have been going away feeling a little bit down about that. And they should have done better, could have done better. And probably most fans would have been thinking we should have at least got a draw there. And it was away from home at Birmingham, so that was really good. So have a look. Reading, win, draw, win, draw, draw, win. They really are starting to put some points on the board. We'll look at the position in a minute. Stevenage, lose, win, draw, lose. Then they're just not getting the run of the green at the minute. But they are playing some good football and they are using the ball really well when they've got it. So we look at Reading and we think, all the changes. Do they get a bounce? Reading are in 8th, 58 points, and they're just 2 points away from Bolton and 4 points away from Stockport County. And I just think that this is the game where they could if they could just win this one, they could pull back on those sides that are doing badly above them, like Huddersfield. They could pull back on some of the sides that are doing well, but still losing the odd point here and there, such as your Boltons, your Stockports and your Charltons. And remember, Wycombe and Wrexham aren't particularly winning every game. So, yes, now is probably the time where they would want to start getting some points more consistently. You look at it, win, draw, draw, win. They've lost 6 points out of those last 6 games that perhaps they should have just nicked a win from. Although, one of them was Birmingham 0-0. What are you all saying? You're saying 1-0 to Reading, 2-1 to Reading, 1-1 and 2-1. I'm going to go with most of you. I think that Stevenage may get the run of the green at least a little bit and get a goal. But Reading at home, I just think that they've just got too much, I'm afraid. I'm going to go with Reading 2, Stevenage 1, and we'll move on to the next game. So we go Rotherham versus Exeter, and this is going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Because Rotherham draw, lose, win, lose. Last time out, 1-0 defeat against Wrexham, and to be honest, I think Rotherham's 3 shots on target really do summarise it. But 3 shots on target, no goals. That came from 11 shots. Actually, it's rather an even game. Rotherham had most of the possession, 55%. 11 shots, 3 on target, no goals. Like I say, Wrexham, though, they're always a lot more clinical when they get that shot on target. 10 shots, 3 on target, 1 in the net. And realistically, I think they played the better football. Rotherham, now you have to look at the passing, and this is probably a good statistic here. 297 passes to Wrexham, 349 for Rotherham, just passing it along the back, and that's what they were doing, just trying to pass it along the back. But you can't do that against a side like Wrexham. You pass it along the back, you lose it, and it goes in the back of the net. case in point. So Rotherham not playing that well, not playing that smart. The plan just doesn't seem to be right, and the game plan from Evans just doesn't seem to be working for me. Against an Exeter side that have started to play quite well. So, as against Rotherham's draw, lose, lose, win, win, lose, you've got Exeter with win, lose, draw, draw, win, win. And they've started to sort of pick up some points. Certainly, they've only lost one of their last 6, and that was against Charlton, who have started to get up that table. It's Rotherham in 14th against Exeter in 16th. Technically, both of these sides are really on the beach by now. I can't see much of a difference between these two sides. It could quite easily end up 1-0, 1-1, 1-0. What are you all saying? And I can see one here and thinking, this comes from the Blue Monday podcast. This the odd one out here. You can tell where I've got it from. Rotherham Exeter 1-0, 4-1, 0-1, 1-0. Yes, I think this is going to be a 1-0 game. I don't know which way. It could be either way. It could be 1-0. It could be 1-0. I'm gonna give it to the home side. It's against what I was thinking, but I'm going to go with Rotherham 1, Exeter 0, and I don't know if I've got that. I don't know if I dares do that, but we are going to go with 1-0, and we'll move on to the next game. Shrewsbury versus Burton, and this again, like I said, there's some really important games in this weekend. The table shows it. Burton in 21st. They're 6 points away from Peterborough in 20th. They need to win this one to stand any chance at all of getting out of it. I think realistically, they're 11 points away, Shrewsbury in 24th. They really aren't going to get out of this. They would have to win this and go on a winning run throughout the next 10 games. Can I see it happening? Not really. It did look like it might be about to start, and then it fizzled out at Wycombe and Bolton. But Wycombe and Bolton, they're two good sides. They just happened to have hit two good sides when they needed to keep that momentum going. Burton and you have Shrewsbury Town. They did do well, and they did show signs that they could do something. Especially against the defeat against Bolton, 3-2 defeat. The defeat against Huddersfield, 1-0. They did play really well there. So Shrewsbury Town, lose, 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 draw, lose. There's not many goals going in against them on the whole. However, so they can have a really good, solid defence, and they can suddenly play really well. We've seen it on the television. However, Burton, lose, win, win, draw, lose, lose. I think Burton have just started to pull themselves back into the picture here. And like I said, Burton, Wycombe and Bolton, they played last two. Wrong team, wrong time, wasn't it? I can see Burton doing this one. What are you thinking? It's Shrewsbury Burton, 3-2, 3-3, 1-2. 1-1. I'm going to go with that one. I'm going to go with Shrewsbury 1, Burton 2. I think Burton have just got the edge here for me. And we'll go to that humdinger of a game. We've got Wycombe versus Wrexham next. I mean, how on earth do you split these two? Just look at the table. Wycombe in second versus Wrexham in third. Do look at Wycombe's draws over the season. 11 draws is against Wrexham's 8. So just slightly edging it on the draws, Wycombe. And they're at home. So let's have a look. Wycombe, draw, win, draw, lose, win, draw. The defeat was a 1-0 against Birmingham. I thought they'd attack. They didn't. They parked the bus, and it proved the wrong method for them. The draws, Crawley, Wigan and Peterborough last time out, and you're thinking, they really should have done better against Peterborough, Wycombe. 90 plus 3, they managed to equalise. Peterborough sort of did really well, and then they seemed to just hold back as they look, let's just try not to let them shoot, because Peterborough had 51% possession, 9 shots, 3 on target, all right at the beginning, and they just sort of tried to hang on there. Wycombe, 13 shots, 2 on target. Great shooting, but when I say with I didn't get anything from the replays of these 13 shots. So where did they come from, and where were they in the game? Because I didn't see any of them. 2 of them were on target. However, they both of those seemed very haphazard, sort of like just tap it towards the goalkeeper. Yeah, they were on target, but they were never going to go in. Wycombe, for me, the wheels have come off, and it just shows in that 6 games, 2 wins. However, Wrexham, 6 games, 3 wins, and they didn't play that well against Rotherham. 1-0 winners. Neither team played really well, but yeah, they deserved their win, certainly. Wrexham are now, they've changed the style. They've gone from a flat 5 back in defence to a flat 5 in midfield. At first this didn't work, and they couldn't quite sort it out, and then it started to work a little bit more recently. And they started to get more points from it, because they did drop a few when they changed to 5 across the midfield. So we're seeing now how teams are changing how they play and the styles and the formations they're playing as injuries come in, as weaknesses occur. And I'm thinking this is what's showing for me with Wrexham. They seem to be just pulling back a little bit. What was the other side that I saw the other day? Crawley are seeming a lot more tired in the games now as well. They're using less energy. So there are 1 or 2 sides I'm seeing a distinct drop in energy levels, and Wrexham's one of them. Don't seem to be quite as buzzing all the way through those 90 minutes for me. Which is possibly together with fitness levels and injuries, why they're not quite hitting the mark quite as often and getting those points quite as often as they did at the beginning. Wycombe versus Wrexham, quite an even game for me. What are you thinking? 1-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-1. Guess where I'm going? Wycombe 1, Wrexham 1. Thank you very much. It's John S's Sports Channel. Please do like and subscribe. Please do remember, click the like, click the subscribe, and we will see you for the live stream on Saturday. It's John S's Sports Channel over and out for League One Game Week 37.